what are some in urban culture, the spaces we come from, what are some things that we know that are part of the culture that we know are ratchet, dude, that we know are outside of, the ways of Jesus, but we kind of still, we give it a pass because, that's where I come from. That's that's who I am. Like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? So what do we actually need to have the conversations on that we go, dude, we got to actually talk about this, man. And we got to change the narrative of this because we know it's not right, but we still coming through a little ratchety. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What is it? What do you got?
Man, this is tough, bro, because I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, all of us are.
So I'm guilty of it. I think that for sure it's we're okay with listening to music because the beat goes hard, and
yep.
and then we just like bypass the lyrics, like,
shoot, bypass them. I'm out here singing them in the car, bro, like bumping it, like being like, okay, kids, like,
or
look, you don't repeat this, but I love this song growing.
Or for like, we grew up on Rage Against the Machine. I don't know if you grew up on Rage Against the Machine, but for those of us that grew up on Rage Against the Machine, for us it's like, oh, this is music that represents me and the struggle and where we come from and advocates for the marginalized. So if there's a few cuss words in there, if we are okay with saying certain things that we normally wouldn't, we know like they're not right to say, it's okay. NWA was the same thing, it's like
early Ice Cube. Some of my favorite hip hop albums are early Ice Cube, like Lethal Injection, America's Most Wanted.
He's a great lyricist.
My goodness. But I'm also just like, there's no space for Jesus in any of that. Like, even though there's truth in there but I'm like, that's a tough one for me.
Do y'all have those moments like now, right? As an adult, like that really is trying to, be righteous, where you're like singing and you're like, dang.
Like you sense
that's what they were saying. Like you hear an old song,
oh, yeah.
You hear an old song and you're like, dang.
Oh yeah,
that's what we were singing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Any Genuine song?
Yeah, Genuine song. We were singing loud when we were kids.
Sweat. Even though we all knew what Keith was saying, but yeah, man. No, that's a good one, dude.
I would say music.
Music is definitely a good, like, and there's so much like in urban culture that I'm like, why is this like this? And the older I get, it's funny, man. This is the hypocrisy, okay? The older I get, it's easier for me to pick on music now. You know what I mean? But it was, but then why can't I listen to all that music in front of my younger children? Mm-hmm. Shoot, why do I even listen to it in front of my older children? And they're like, oh, I'm trying to teach, like, here's Tribe, here's, Wu-Tang, whatever. But, it's not righteous.
Right.
It's not right.
100%. There's a playlist I have in my car when my wife is with me. And then there's a playlist I have for the gym. And those two there's not a lot of crossover between those two playlists. You know what I'm saying? So, because those are my headphones.
Yeah.
They're my AirPods. And so, yeah, man, I would say that that's one that I'm like slowly, but it's just so hard because a lot of these artists I admire, I look up to, I love their art, I love their stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah.
And so, for example, like, I mean, I don't know if I want to stay on music for a bit. For my favorite artist is Kanye West. And it's so hard to say that in 2023 with his anti-Semitism remarks, him like turning his back maybe on what people would say on his people,
on the culture,
his mental health issues. Yeah, just like all these things. But then, you, as someone who's a fan, you start to advocate for him and say, well, you don't understand what he went through and this and the other, da, da, da. And then when he made the gospel album, he did he brought out Sunday Service and
Jesus King.
I was like, oh my gosh, you see guys, and he was at churches and every pastor who would preach against him now had him on stage and they wanted to be at the Forum. Remember when he was doing Sunday Service at the Forum?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And all these pastors, all these mega church pastors that were white and stuff would come to the Forum and take selfies with him and stuff like that. And it's just because he brings street credibility to anyone. And so like we all wanted to have some sort of association with him and be like, And now it's like Daddy Yankee came, like
Yeah,
Daddy
yeah,
Yankee.
I saw that. Yeah,
What?
Daddy Yankee's a believer. Like said it from stage.
Mi gente. And he
I like Daddy Yankee.
what's funny though, what's crazy is he was already on his he was doing his last world tour. So he was going to retire from performing for music. And so people are just wondering, like, okay, did he do his last world tour because he was going to become a Christian, or he became a Christian and knows he can't sing those same songs because he publicly, after his last show, said, just like God, he's like, God, just like you let me, tour the world, and I want to tour the world now, and preach your gospel. And it was a beautiful, sentimental thing. But man, for those of us, for reggaeton fans, that's huge. And so, but the reggaeton, you listen to Daddy Yankee lyrics,
bro.
You can't listen to those in front of kids. Like, those things will make you flinch, it'll make you blush a little bit, because I'm like, dang, that's explicit.